Today we're going to go over a literature review or a systematic review of machine learning for anomaly detection. In specific, we're going to go over this literature review. And so most research papers ask whether a specific algorithm can solve a specific problem. Now, this paper doesn't actually go over that. This paper is pretty much asking, what has this community or the machine learning community been doing for the past 20 years when it comes to anomaly detection? So what these authors did is they reviewed 290 anomaly detection papers, which were published between 2000 and 2020. Yeah, 2000s. And so they pretty much did an analysis of a big picture of everything that was going on. And so I'm looking at my notes while I'm going over this paper. And so they pretty much figured out that anomaly detection is everywhere. It isn't just in banking or anything like that, but it's in cybersecurity. It's in aviation, healthcare, manufacturing, cloud computing, transportation, wherever you can imagine. And so there's a few findings that I was surprised by, not really surprised, but I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, was that the biggest one that the research community loved was support vector machines. So let's go over that figure. So when looking at this chart and looking at the machine learning techniques, like SVM was pretty much the most dominant one. Then it came to cluster. And then we have all these other ones. This is the whole thing. And surprise, surprise, one of the biggest things that we found was that unsupervised anomaly detection was used more than supervised one. And you could say, yeah, it makes sense just because anomalies are rare. We're looking for those outliers or that, black sheep within the data. And, the unsupervised one is more likely going to find it than the supervised models. So, for example, many systems learn what normal behavior looks like and then identify unusual patterns, then learning directly from labeled anomalies. Okay, so here are some of the techniques that they talk about where we have this machine learning techniques. We have the classification, then we have the optimization, then we have the rule system, regression, and all that stuff. Here we have the machine learning techniques observed, feature selection extraction techniques from the paper. Okay, and so from researchers pretty much use performance metrics such as accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, ROC, AUC, true positive rate, and false positive rate. And so, something else that they noticed is that a lot of the time they noticed that a lot of the studies, a lot of the different ways that people do their analysis and stuff, they relied a lot on accuracy. And that was their biggest one, which again, there's positives and negatives with the accuracy instead of just looking at the other items. Maybe that's what their paper needed, or the research needed. But that is something that the authors identified here. So this is where they talked about some of the research papers reported the results using one performance metric, such as accuracy, which needs more improvement and more consideration. Which I agree. I know I've gone over the different when showing my mentor some of my projects. We went over different, we went over the different performance metrics and when we, for example, let's say we put importance over accuracy instead of recall and all that jazz. And so I think I found that interesting that they said that, just because working in a corporate setting and talking with my mentor where he's also he's worked in the corporate setting that long, we talk about this. And then now we're seeing here in the lit review that we're like, hey, they're putting importance in one over the other. But regardless of that, I think it was a really cool study that I read about. And honestly, it has a lot of really different information about the different machine learning analysis that you could do for anomaly detection. And so I think that really goes to understanding what the problem is at hand and finding the right tool for the problem. And that's always going to be taking some exploration and stuff. And let me show you. For example, here with this article, they did a supervised analysis, which was random forest, algorithm, and regression tree. And here we have some of the items that they were reporting. But what I liked about this is that it talks about all the different items that they used for their analysis. Like there's just pages and pages. Now here are the authors of this paper. And so I will paste the paper information on the description if you guys would like to see this. Thank you for being here for my rant as I go through different literature reviews and different academic papers, just because I am still going and trying to write. I'm trying to actually publish in a journal article about different LLMs. I just happened to stumble upon this because of work where they're like, hey, we really need a lot of anomaly detection. And so I figured, oh, this one would be a good one to talk about in my channel. So yes, I will talk to you guys later. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.